Ever since BMW lost its laser focus on driving dynamics superiority when it launched its 2012 F30 3 Series redesign, we've been searching for a suitably satisfying replacement as our favorite all-around, everyday car that best combines practicality with driving sophistication. Among newcomers, the Cadillac ATS impressed dynamically but was missing pretty much everything else, and the Lexus is as compelling only in specific trim levels. With aluminum-intensive construction and an attractive price, could Jaguar's news become the one? Ripping around our favorite winding, two-lane roads, this certainly feels less isolated than the 3 Series. A great start. Even though this particular car wore 18-inch all-season tires, our Sport V6 models are available with 20-inch performance rubber. Lateral grip was a still impressive 0.88 grams, which is more stick than this minimally bolstered seats can handle. However, despite more than ample grip, taut wheel and body control, and quick steering, linking corners in this doesn't come as naturally as in our transcendent favorites. Frankly, and somewhat surprisingly, its bigger and heavier brother, the XF, possesses more of this corner-carving effortlessness. We also don't like that this brake pedal has a bit of softness early in its stroke before the system starts to respond more linearly with additional pedal pressure. We've noticed this undesirable quality on a number of recent Jaguars, making us wonder if it's a misguided part of Jaguar's tuning philosophy. Initially, we found this ride to be slightly too abrupt over expansion joints and other sharp impacts. When we hopped into the driver's seat the next day, the recommended tire pressures, the value we set when testing cars, practically leaped off of the door jamb placard: 43 pounds per square inch front and 47 rear. Why so high? When we inquired, Jaguar officials claimed it was to be robust when the car is loaded to this maximum cargo and passenger capabilities. But we're skeptical, since many competitors manage similar loads without such astronomical pressures, and we suspect that fuel economy ratings were actually the driving factor here. The owner's manual also lists a comfort setting of 34 pounds per square inch front and rear, which is for up to 3 occupants and 1 luggage item. Using that preferable lower setting, we found this has much more satisfying responses. The tires seem to bite the pavement better in response to steering wheel inputs, and the lower inflation pressure also took the sharp edge off the ride. The steering effort is lighter than our ideal, though, even in the sportiest dynamic mode, which has only a slight effect on weight. On the positive side, this setup does make this feel lighter on its tires than it is. And this can use the help, as its mass was one of the biggest surprises. Despite aluminum-intensive construction, a curb weight of nearly 2 tons makes it the heaviest in its class. The diesel delivers on fuel economy, less so on performance. This 20D is one of the few remaining diesel offerings in its class, starting at $37,395, a $1,500 premium over the gasoline-fueled 2.0-liter turbo. Our test car scaled the options ladder nearly to the top at a breathtaking $56,345. That climb started with the addition of all-wheel drive, $2,500, and skipped past the premium and prestige trims to the top, our Sport model, a $10,100 addition that adds a host of comfort, convenience, and driver assistance items, along with a more aggressive look from a modified front bumper and the addition of side sills and a trunkless spoiler. On top of that, our car had the $2,100 comfort and convenience package, heated and ventilated front seats and heated rears, a power trunk lid, and rear window shade, the $2,700 technology package, including Jaguar's latest in Control Touch Pro infotainment and navigation system running on a 10.2-inch touchscreen, a 17-speaker Meridian sound system, and Wi-Fi connectivity, the $1,000 adaptive shocks, and $550 Glacier White metallic paint. The 2.0-liter Ingenium diesel's headline number is its 318 pounds-to-feet of torque, with 180 peak horsepower. That's identical horsepower but 38 additional pounds-to-feet versus its primary competitor, the BMW 328d. It fires quickly, even on a chilly morning, At idle it sends a slight vibratory tickle through the seat and steering wheel. Stop-start functionality is pretty slick, especially for a diesel. There's just a slight shudder as the engine speed falls to 0 and a quick and clean restart. Some compared it with stop-start systems on gas engine competitors, which is high praise. However, if it restarts on its own before the driver's foot comes off of the brake pedal, it's far more jarring. It's a workhorse engine, with an even, steady pull through the rev range, making a mostly agreeable grumble. The four-cylinder never raises its voice. Our interior sound level measurement with the throttle pegged was 73 decibels, 3 higher than when cruising at a steady 70 miles per hour. Compare that with a 7 decibel difference on a V6 powered, but it's not invigorating, either, never goading the driver to spontaneously dance with it using the shift paddles. That's just as well, as the paddles are rendered in cheap-feeling plastic. During maximum acceleration, it shifts roughly 300 revolutions per minute short of the 4,800 revolution per minute redline, and the results were less than impressive, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.4 seconds and 16.4 seconds at 85 miles per hour through the quarter mile. That's more than a second slower to 60 miles per hour than the last all-wheel drive 328D sedan we tested, 7.2 seconds. In the daily grind, this power feels adequate, particularly the swell of mid-range torque, and the 20D feels responsive enough off the line when driving gently. But hammer it from rest, as in our rolling start test, and you can count 1,000 before the ingenium awakes. Indeed, Viz's 5 to 60 mile per hour time is 1.1 seconds slower than its 0 to 60 time and 1.5 seconds behind the BMW in this measure. But a diesel's primary mission is fuel economy, and there this delivers. Once up to highway cruising speed, the engine chugs along, turning fewer than 2,000 revolutions per minute at 80 miles per hour. We found the Trip Computer's fuel economy claims to be optimistic by nearly 10%, but this did achieve an actual 42 miles per gallon on our 75 mile per hour highway test loop, 2 miles per gallon better than its highway label. That was with the high tire pressure settings. We ran the test at the comfort pressures and got 41 miles per gallon. A recent gas-powered, rear-drive BMW 330i also achieved 41 miles per gallon on our highway test, but a rear-drive diesel should do better still. Overall, including much hard charging, we averaged 33 miles per gallon. Given the 40-plus mpg fuel economy, quiet highway cruising, and 600-plus mile range, this 20D makes for a great long-haul companion. Just make sure to switch off the lane-keeping assist system, whose steering interventions are abrupt to the point that they led to repeated passenger inquiry about the source of the undesired swerving. Quite compact on the inside. Although it looks compact, this actually has more length, width, and wheelbase than the 3 Series. Surprisingly, however, Viz's interior volume is closer to that of BMW's 2 Series Coupe than the 3 Series sedan with which it's intended to compete. And whether you call Viz's exterior tastefully restrained or just plain, it's also derivative to the point of confusion with its big brother XF. It's never a good sign when not a single bystander notices a vehicle that's about as new as they come. At best, it's a missed opportunity. And, on an execution level, we were dismayed at the large gap between the rear fascia and the twin exhaust tips. Although significantly larger than the Cadillac ATS's minuscule back seat, Viz's feels notably smaller than those in the 3 Series and the Audi A4. The large plastic pieces on the lower rear corners of the front seat backs don't help, as they prevent shoes from sliding neatly under the front seat cushions. Front headroom, which already is on the snug side, is diminished 1.2 inches by the optional sunroof, making it the lowest amongst its peers. Our tall drivers found their heads brushing up against the headliner. The front armrest built into the door is a double-decker design, but the upper rest is too high and the lower too stubby to be useful. Furthermore, it doesn't make sense to us that the window switches, which tend to get used more often, are located on the harder-to-reach upper shelf, while the lower shelf houses the memory seat controls. The armrests are thinly padded, too. Given the lack of space inside, We are especially bothered by signs of squandering, such as the large rectangular block of glossy black plastic surrounding the circular shift knob that serves precisely no function. In a similar area, the Audi A4 packages its large MMI knob, all of the ancillary shortcut buttons and switches, and 8 preset buttons. Infotainment and electrical annoyances. Electrical trouble with British cars is one of the most tired automotive tropes, and yet the first day we drove this its voice recognition was unresponsive no matter what we said. The system's response was no speech detected, making us suspect that the built-in microphone had somehow come unplugged. But, go figure, the voice rec then came back the next day and continued to work fine thereafter. Once it returned, we were dumbfounded that the navigation function on Jaguar's brand new InControl Touch Pro cannot be controlled using voice commands, which is simply unheard of. It's also annoying that there is no way to lock the map's orientation with north up. There were other gripes. The 4-way switches on the left steering wheel spoke sometimes control the radio and sometimes the screen embedded in the gauge cluster. When navigating the latter screen, hit the left, back, button one too many times and oops. The radio station changes. Here's another. The volume adjustment doesn't speed up when holding down the buttons on the steering wheel. We measured an agonizing 16 seconds to slew the volume from level 30 down to 10 or vice versa. We of course wholeheartedly agree with the idea of a more dynamic entry luxury sedan, and we could even forgive the tight interior space if this were lighter and more involving. So, it's a competitive new entry, and the diesel delivers where it matters fuel economy, but we'd stop short of proclaiming Jag's news as the one.